Army VANCA was so gracious to send us out their 14-foot trampoline with the safety net enclosure so that we could do a video, tell you a little bit more about the product, do a little review, and maybe help you make a better buying decision. I've got to tell you, when we started this project, I was so shocked when we opened the box. We were going through all the materials to make sure we had everything for the trampoline, and they actually send you in the box a pair of gloves, 2 spring pullers, not 1, which is so nice and convenient, especially since you almost need a second person to help you set up the trampoline and the springs. So these were very handy. They were sturdy. They worked very well to stretch those springs across and hook them in to the frame of the trampoline. And then they sent us really nice instructions in their instruction booklet. So this 14-foot trampoline is actually rated for up to 400 pounds. That was amazing because normally they're just not rated for that high, but it's a really solid construction. We loved the fact that these safety bars are actually bowed out, so they're not just straight up and down like you see with a lot of the trampolines. A lot of the trampolines do these in a really straight, rigid format. These are rounded, so if you bump up against the safety net, you're not bumping into those support beams, which is really nice. We love the way the net went up across the top. So when we built the trampoline, we had my son and my husband who put it together. Took them about an hour to actually do the construction of the trampoline itself. But when it came to putting the safety net on, I want to show you a couple of things that I might have done different if I was the manufacturer, but I'm sure they have a reason for their logic. So all of this pretty simple forward, how to put the trampoline together. They also have a video online. If you see that QR code, you can actually go look up the QR code, watch the video of how to do the construction. That's really helpful when you're putting the trampoline together. We had built a couple of trampolines that were much less high quality trampolines. They didn't have this nice of an actual competition style mat, and this mat has a lot of give to it. I was really impressed with that. But when it came to doing the netting around the bottom, that was probably the most tedious chore of the whole assembly of the trampoline, because when it came down to the netting part for the safety net at the bottom, hold on, I'm looking for that page in the book. So there's a particular way that you are supposed to string the safety net across the bottom. That was the most tedious job out of the whole project. That we did with 3 of us to do all the safety netting, running it through there, hooking the bottom of the safety net took us the longest amount of time. And that was actually a little bit of a tedious chore. Now I'm sure they have a reasoning behind it, but I want to show you kind of some of that safety netting attachment there to the springs. So if you look there, that is actually, running it through to the springs. There's a couple of them that aren't done quite exact, but like this one's done like you were supposed to according to the booklet. And they actually thread around through this mesh holing in the mesh. So that part is a little tedious. In previous netting trampolines that we've had that had the safety net on the outside, they actually already had the braided cord ran through the bottom of the netting. So if I was going to make a suggestion to the manufacturer, I would have probably said for this trampoline, I would have made it to where that safety cord for the attaching the bottom of the netting was actually already put into the actual net itself at the bottom, because in the top they do it with these rods that spring together, and that was a lot easier putting those through there, and took a whole lot less time putting the rods through the top than it did to put that string around all those springs and do the safety net attachment on the bottom. That was the most tedious part, and especially in our wind in the panhandle, this took the longest amount of time. Just trying to get that safety net attached to those springs. That actually holds the bottom of that safety net to keep a kid from slipping their foot into the springs, which is really nice because growing up, I know we had the big square rectangular style trampolines, and we were always going through the springs. That's something that's a great safety feature that Army VANCA did include, is the fact that that netting runs and configures in a way that that kid's not going to get up in the springs. We love the safety padding that covers the springs on the outside. And on our old trampoline that we had that was just not as high quality, not as solid construction like this is, those nets did not ever stay in place very long. We actually did, because we live in the panhandle area, go ahead and actually put the stakes in. So if you live in a windy area, would really recommend you getting the high quality stakes to actually stake down the legs of the trampoline to hold it in place so that the wind doesn't carry it off somewhere. Sorry, I have a helper today who thinks she's helping with this video. So you have the actual screw down into the ground actual safety brackets, and that has a really nice canvas deal. That's something we bought separate from the trampoline. But if you live in an area like we do, it's really important to have those to keep that trampoline from flipping over in high winds. So this is the trampoline itself. Really nice, rugged construction. One thing I loved about it is the fact you have the little ladder there. It's well constructed. It's really nice. It just hooks over the edge like so. I almost wish there was a little place to actually attach it to the frame, but these are high grade springs. They really have a lot of give and bounce to them, but they're a really high quality spring that's coated so that they're not going to rust easily. And right here is some of the safety features I love. So you have the zipper that unzips from the inside to the outside, but you also have a safety buckle here that you can buckle as a parent, quick and easy, clip those into place so that nobody's getting on the trampoline when you don't want them to be. And there are actually 3 buckles. So there's 3 different safety buckles that are well stitched on this zipper closure that really make it really nice for keeping the kids out of the trampoline if you don't want them to. You can just click that safety deal. It makes it a lot harder for them to get access to the trampoline. This netting is such high quality. I mean, this is a stout netting. The one we had before did not have this kind of woven design. It was not sturdy like this, so we've been really impressed with the quality of the actual parts of the trampoline. The mat itself being that high quality mat, it's an actually really high grade mat that is made for competition style trampoline mats. That is a really nice feature. The padded arms for the safety arms, really nice, like that padding around there. Love the fact that that top was so easy to thread through those actual rods that are flexible that run around the top of the safety net. That was really easy in the construction, but all around great trampoline, safety rated, and the fact that we can have several of us on the trampoline at one time, up to 400 pounds, was amazing. Really impressed with the quality. Love the fact that it's actually made with real high standard quality legs. So I like the fact that the bolts actually bolt on in place for that safety rail that goes around the outside of the netting. We had 2 other past trampolines. This was not a high quality metal, and the bracketing on the actual trampoline leg itself came apart really easy. These are really nice, heavy duty legs on this thing. They are actually made out of high quality material, steel. So this is not going anywhere. Like I said, we live in a really windy area, so for us to have the high quality of the pieces, that's actually going to help keep this lasting for years to come. And they actually give you some suggestions on maintenance of the trampoline. But the grandkids have already been in it, tried it out, tested it out. I will admit, as a grandparent, I got into, but I kind of want to show you the flexibility of this actual mat. So if you look here, this mat and the bounce to it is just not stiff. It's just a real high quality feel. So Army VANCA was so gracious to send us out their 14-foot trampoline with the safety net enclosure so that we could do a video, tell you a little bit more about the product, do a little review, and maybe help you make a better buying decision. I've got to tell you, when we started this project, I was so shocked when we opened the box. We were going through all the materials to make sure we had everything for the trampoline, and they actually send you in the box a pair of gloves, 2 spring pullers, not 1, which is so nice and convenient, especially since you almost need a second person to help you set up the trampoline and the springs. So these were very handy. They were sturdy. They worked very well to stretch those springs across and hook them in to the frame of the trampoline. And then they sent us really nice instructions in their instruction booklet. So this 14-foot trampoline is actually rated for up to 400 pounds. That was amazing because normally they're just not rated for that high, but it's a really solid construction. We loved the fact that these safety bars are actually bowed out, so they're not just straight up and down like you see with a lot of the trampolines. A lot of the trampolines do these in a